which is why many times you just pick the hero that you think might get banned, or the position you think might get banned. And now S4 without options. I mean, I guess, oh, the Wraith King is going to be the option, okay.
Whoa.
How do you think of that matchup against Morphling?
So they do want to play a higher tempo game, and Wraith King does hit his timings quite early, especially if he chooses to go for some kind of armlet build, right?
Yep.
They don't want to give Morphling space to farm, but the carry matchup of Morphling to Wraith King, like Morphling destroys Wraith King, I would say. And
especially with stats build.
it has to just be high tempo, run them over, because you look at Alliance's draft, there's not really any high cooldowns that we're afraid of. There's a mana burn from Lion, there's Chains, Ember can just keep you there. So I'm guessing they just want to steamroll them after hitting a timing.
So they need something fast. I mean, Timber is a good option. I know Brian was like screaming it over there on the left, but versus like the Wraith King and all that, it's not bad. It is an S4 hero, and there's just not really much left. He's gonna go for his Sanking. I feel like these lanes look super weak from Alliance. I'm worried. I've seen the Sanking struggle almost every game I've seen it played lately.
So the strength of the Sanking here is the defensive ability, right?
Yes.
He's really good at defending towers, really good just setting up Sandstorm. Hard to push the safe lane tier 1 with that, theoretically.
I would agree, and if we're gonna go on this 20-minute timing that T1 want to play for, then Sand King is one of the better heroes you can pick here, but it's pretty much because there was nothing left. However, there is the ability to stun or counter initiate, which is always going to be nice. It's just that I don't think this Sand King is going to be the one to go in first. Something Alliance do have going for the Morphling though is there's a lack of a natural Vessel buyer on T1.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we saw the Dawnbreaker go for it. There is Enfeeble, which can be frustrating in later stages, but early on we've seen, most people aren't really skilling it. So I think if Alliance, if they can play fast-paced, if they don't get smashed in their lanes, they do have a good way to fight back, because I do think T1's is a bit greedy for them to actually just it's going to take some time for them to build up this Wraith King, as we've seen that hero's gotten nerfed several times. So Alliance, I mean, I have to just stare at lanes. Like first 10 minutes, I have to see if S4 has a decent time on this Sand King, because I've seen so many games lately as Sand King where this hero just doesn't get to play. Like it dies like 4 or 5 times in laning phase, and then you're just a single blink stun.
But there's also this potential of Alliance playing the tempo game too, depending on how lanes go, right? Because if Sand King does get the early blink and Morphling doesn't get severely pressured.
Ask him some questions.
Помогите, 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 помогите.
I'll tell my weak and puny allies where I can.
Hey, they're back! Good for you!
Thank you, Sir Action Slacks. Alliance versus T1. Sunspan with Synderen, best of 3. And this is for elimination, Synderen. Whoever loses this is out. Winner moves on a little bit further at TI10.
Into top 8. So
yes.
Obviously, starting in that upper bracket, which T1 did, is the blessing. You skip 1 round of the lower bracket, but we've seen many times at TI teams looking hot going into the upper bracket. They lose their first set, they drop down, lose again, and that is a fate you really don't want to face. When you feel like you came in a good position, you can get knocked out almost just as quickly if things go awry. So looking to take this series against Alliance, of course. I think fair to say, based on how groups went and how the upper bracket went for T1 against LGD, taking at least a game against the Juggernauts. T1 probably fair to assess them as the overall favorites in this matchup. But Alliance have been picking up a little bit of momentum, obviously going off that win yesterday, and you heard in the pregame the discussion about how, as far as said, they've learned a lot from the group stage, and Alliance is one of those teams that can, how to say, they can pick up some momentum, they can learn from their mistakes, and obviously it is a tough matchup today, but
Do you think, I mean, when you play in group stage, not everybody's really scouting each other as closely because you're playing a ton of games and a ton of teams at the same time. But when it gets to this stage, there's a lot of prep that goes in for this specific team. Alliance has a little bit more time to work with, I would say, but T1 obviously coming from upper bracket, they're obviously disappointed that they lost that best of 3, but should be an exciting matchup nonetheless. And of course, Alliance is, I mean, they were the top EU team overall because of, what was it, #1 in each DPC season, like going into the major.
Yeah, unfortunately for Alliance, their showings at the actual majors weren't what they had hoped. Basically just bombed out both times. So obviously for them, they have a lot to prove here. And yeah, the whole thing about prep I think is pretty important. If you do talk about Dota with S4, he's a very intelligent player. The way he thinks about the game, I think he's a huge part of why Alliance won back at TI3. Just this overall understanding of macro movements in the game. Yeah. Alliance were outstanding in that tournament. It's obviously many years ago, but they kind of, I wouldn't say they pioneered split pushing because that was a concept that was known from back in Dota 1.
They perfected
but they mastered it at that event, and they did such a great job just playing the map at a different level from other teams that eventually they got caught up to, and then they started losing in subsequent tournaments after TI, but I think S4 really a clever player. So hopefully the prep that he has done going into this will show. But so far so good for T1 in the lanes, I would say. Carl in the mid lane, Lina against Ember. You know, this reminds me of a game we had yesterday. Was it Emo who played Ember against Shadow Fiend from Team Spirit? That was 2 days ago by now. Time flies when you're having fun. But it was the IG versus Team Spirit series in the upper bracket, where Emo got a last pick Ember into a known Shadow Fiend. Yeah. So picked it into a losing lane, but they assessed that it was still worth it for its overall potential impact on the game, and they did end up winning that game, obviously. Limp in a similar situation here. Lina's a tough matchup. You're not going to win this lane ever if the players are equally matched. And I think Carl against Limp is a pretty fair lane matchup overall in terms of just raw lane mechanical skill. So I would imagine Carl will be pulling ahead here.
No, I mean, relatively even to start things out, but of course it is early, like you said. They're going to get each respective water rune. Nico Baby this time around will be playing the Morphling in this bot lane, and we can talk a bit about the Dawnbreaker who gets canceled there. FNG, Shockwave brings him back in, and Zephyr secures the first blood with that last right click.
When you're playing these squishy 5s against Dawnbreaker, you need to be quick on your fingers. You need to be ready for that play to come. As soon as the Celestial Hammer goes out, you have to stun her. Hanskin hesitated for too long there, or sorry, FNG, not Hanskin. Let's focus on the right player here. Hesitated for too long with that Earth Spike and ended up taking 2 attacks from the Starbreaker. Yeah. That needs to get stopped instantly. As soon as the hammer gets thrown, you have to stun, and gets punished there, and Zephyr manages to get first blood. Very good for the Dawnbreaker. We'll be getting boots as a reward. This hero is exceptionally good at chasing down heroes because it's just so strong in lane. So with these freshly picked up boots, look for Zephyr to just go aggressive.
He's going to take some damage here, but we've talked about the Dawnbreaker support in the past, and some lineups feel a little iffy, as it were, especially as a support. Obviously, she's going to be very good in the laning stage, as we're seeing right now, but this game in particular, there are a lot of stuns that set up her ultimate for the later stage of the game. You have the Nightmare, you have the Fiend's Grip, obviously, LSA's pretty low cooldown, Wraith, Fire Blast as well, and then the huge RP. So literally every hero can theoretically set up the Solar Guardian, which, I mean, I think you and I agree is probably the most important aspect of that hero going mid-game and beyond.
Absolutely. Oh,
top lane, Whitemon going to get caught out, takes a considerable amount of damage, but will live through it. Nightmare into the Wraith Fire Blast now is 23 Savage, blocking S4. He will be able to walk away as those little skelly buddies are chasing him.
The boys, as we call them.
The boys. I think that's copyrighted by a TV show, Synderen. Oh, I can't say that.
Okay. Well, hopefully they're not watching then. There's probably not that much overlap between the writers of that TV show and TI, but you never know.
You never know.
You get surprised sometimes with where people's interests lie. So,
especially you.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know what that was supposed to mean.
Because you have no interest. That was the joke. Zephyr makes his way to the top lane. Wraith Fire Blast into the Starbreaker. But Burrow Strike is there in time for S4. But he's going to take so much damage from that hammer.
I think one saving grace for Alliance here against the Dawnbreaker ult, like we talked about. Yes, you have a lot of good combos with it, but it's not a good Ags game at the very least. There's no hero on Alliance that really suffers against that 60% evasion. Morphling a lot of the time can, go for more of a magic-based build with the E-Blade. And I think waveform, attack talent, and all this stuff that comes comes way later in the game. I think can't miss, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually not 100% on that. Good wave farm bottom. Aggressive play onto
Looks like
Kuku.
Kuku might take a tumble here. Has his skewer available, but is just completely stun locked by Alliance, who get their first kill of the game and this series.
Yeah, they can easily take advantage of that with the Dawnbreaker rotation top. They know they're 2v1. Lion, one of the best supports in the game, 2v1. Not that good 2v2, especially as a 5, but
For some, like a position for like Dawnbreaker, theoretically, to get some farm once he enters that jungle.
Yeah.
Semi-full-time, if that's even a word. We'll just go with
full-time. That's called part-time.
Part-time job as S4 gets the burrow strike off. Whitemon taking some damage, but the cookie ends up saving S4 for about 2 seconds, but Zephyr is there to clean up yet again. Seems to be everywhere, and he doesn't even have his ult yet.
No, he has a lot of freedom to move. Kuku's doing such a good job playing alone down here. He's almost level 6, so you don't even feel bad about this if you're Zephyr. Might even end up killing Hanskin here if Limp doesn't come over to help.
He's going for it. Limp
He has the hammer.
I'm not going to pursue any further. Kuku getting some mana drained here. Has to skewer out the safety. That means he's completely depleted.
Surely Zephyr doesn't do this, right? Okay. It almost looked like he was going to try to dive him in the face.
At 7 minutes. Yeah.
Learned from Kuku from yesterday. Just go for it, and then if you fail, you just write, we need wards. So
that's true.
He did have a ward.
That is the play. Oh, Earth Spike into the waveform. Kuku looks to be done again. So 2 kills in this lane for Alliance.
Yeah.
Nico Baby and company starting to get back into this game, which, I mean, it's not like it's out of reach by any means, but T1 definitely off to a slightly better start right now.
And Nico claiming that is very, very good for his economy. 250 extra gold here. Getting the treads flown out now. Very curious to see what build he goes for, right? Because as the draft panel pointed out, there are some aspects of this game that can be dangerous to Morphling. So you could maybe see him go for something like a Lincoln Sphere against Bane, which isn't necessarily ideal. Okay, FNG in trouble.
Starbreaker not going to fully connect on FNG. Limp gets the nice cookie, stun, and the regen rune, and Carl just getting kited around. Another kill goes the way of Alliance, as FNG taking some harassment, but looks like he will live through the day thanks to the support of the rest of his team.
Yeah, great rotation there. Bringing Hanskin was crucial to killing off the Lina. They're going to smoke here in full vision, though. So T1 definitely know that this is happening. Let's see if they guess the right move, though. FNG mana burning here. Zephyr's going to walk right into him.
Yeah, the fact that Zephyr is level 4 despite being involved in so many kills is kind of weird, actually. Feels like he should be a higher level right now, but
he hasn't taken much lane. That's what you trade off when you leave the off lane, right? So that you give the Magnus the solo experience, and while kills are nice, if you don't soak up any lane space, you don't progress, right? So I think now that Zephyr is showing mid, he might even sit here all the way until level 6, because Bane will need the tome in this game. So might just park him here. As you pointed out, top lane is also an option. You could just put the Dawnbreaker in the safe lane, put Wraith King into the jungle. But this way you're definitely going to get more gold on Wraith King if you let him take the lane and the big camp. But S4 making sure that is not the case here. Digging that up with a bounty, getting a bounty rune out of his good old shot.
Oh, the dust from Whitemon, but a quick burrow strike. There's the stun from Zephyr. And S4 looks to be mega dead here. Actually does a nice job of sidestepping the Starbreaker, but it just delays the inevitable here.
And keep in mind, this is a Sand King with Vanguard against the Wraith King skeletons, and he still dies. So you can't really be tankier than this at this point as Sand King with Soul Ring Vanguard, but it's just not enough against these 3 heroes. Alliance looking a little bit lost over here in the triangle, I gotta say. They've been standing here for quite a long time, and they're just on top of a ward, so essentially kind of wasting their time. They obviously don't know this, but T1 are just not gonna go there. And you understand what Alliance are thinking. You're playing against a lineup that has Magnus Wraith King. You're assuming there's gonna be big Ancient stacks, but T1 honestly haven't really paid much attention to that area just yet, so... I don't know if this is going to be something we see developing as like a new meta almost, where teams, because of the anticipation that the opposite team are going to invade your triangle, you just don't focus on it that much early unless you feel like you can clearly defend it. Then you just
like
don't
the next
stack.
level thinking, essentially.
Right.
Nightmare LSA, here comes the Solar Guardian as well, but S4 able to get the burrow strike off in time to at least create a little bit of distance, but again, completely outnumbered with 4 members of T1 in the vicinity.
He is now 0-4. It was what Fogg was talking about. This happens in a lot of games for offlane Sand King, especially if he's left alone. And now, finally, all right, FNG, I think, took the Tome of Knowledge, so he's going to make a move with Limp. They have Finger of Death. Could very easily burst anyone they find, except Wraith King, who can, of course, put a point in the ultimate. They will find Carl. That would be a very big pick.
Yeah, this would be a huge one. It looks like it's going to be an easy one on top of that. FNG gets his first Finger stack of the game. And now some pressure being applied to this tier 1 mid in favor of Alliance.
Great move here. They do that in connection with the Siege Creep being alive mid, and FNG is going to take this at least for a bit. Okay, Mortimer kisses.
Searing Chains with the Mortimer's kisses. Look, oh, it's from super long range. Great anticipation as well. Alliance.
Very
tier 1
nice
as well.
From Alliance, yeah, getting the mid tower out of that original smoke move onto the Lina. That's a very high value play. More or less equalizing the game with that, actually. They were starting to fall 2k gold behind, but they found a lot out of that. And of course, let's keep in mind, Nico Baby is getting a lot of space as well. Opting to go for first item Skadi here. Interesting choice,
Wow,
obviously.
first item. Well, after Morton Mask, but that, that's, I don't know if I've ever seen that, actually.
It's not the most common build. A lot of the times you see Morph getting some sort of a build-up item, like sometimes you get Yasha, sometimes you get a full Manta, sometimes you see the Diffusal if it's a good game for that.
Super good Scotty game against Wraith, Dawnbreaker, and the likes as Bane's going to be taken out. FNG though,
God,
Savage. Yep. 3 shots from him.
I love Armlet on Wraith King. It is such a good item. Whether, like, whatever you go after, if it's the Silver Edge build or the Deso, or I guess in some edge cases Radiance, I really like the Armlet first. You just hit such a strong peak already 10 minutes in with these 2 items. You saw him basically 2-shotting Lion there with that massive crit. 270% critical strike damage on a 4-second cooldown is no joke.
That's the old CK skill too. They kind of swapped.
Yeah.
Poor CK. I guess people are more have an affinity towards Wraith King more than CK these days anyway.
Yeah. Well, what they did do for CK though, they increased the chance, right? I think at some point the critical strike was 11% chance. Now it's 33, and the numbers were obviously tweaked.
11? Are you sure about
I'm pretty sure it used to be that. It's a long time ago.
11?
We're both old.
I'm gonna say 18 just
Okay,
so
so
one
here's one of
person
the
in
perks
chat
of
that's
being
gonna
old,
check
okay?
this
You
out.
have a lot of things you can remember. You also have a lot of things you can't remember, and a lot of things you might misremember, which makes for great conversation, because sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, but at the very least, people are talking.
Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and you're always an idiot as well.
Yeah,
so.
that is true. That comes with getting older.
Indeed. All right, bottom lane, tier 1 tower getting harassed a bit here. Limp and company.
This could be a strong
in
flank
the area.
for
Yeah, we're seeing the
T1.
flank now from T1. 23 Savage.
Someone's in trouble.
Handskin in the trees. If they can get Limp, that'll be the high priority target. Looks like it'll be Handskin instead. The rest of his team abandons him, but with good reason.
Alliance dipping there with 1 death is very good. Considering what angle T1 got there and how Alliance's heroes were positioned, that could have gone way worse if 23 Savage could have found a higher priority target.
The question is, does T1 actually want to push this? Because S4 looks to be mounting some sort of defense. S4 not too far away from a Blink Dagger himself. This wave will almost ensure that he picks that up, in fact. And with that, likely to try to get something started. And of course, this is the beauty of Zephyr, like you talked about so many times. Or I should say, Dawnbreaker.
1 time.
Well, we know we've talked about this.
Actually, twice. I did talk about it twice.
We've had a couple games here.
See, that's one of the perks of being old. You can just make, you know, was
Where
it once
am
or
I?
twice? I don't know. You talked about it a lot, you know.
Anyway, to finish the thought that you've rudely interrupted,
Sorry.
Solar Guardian just allows you to be everywhere. It's like a mini haunt.
Oh, not this
It's
again.
like a haunt on a support hero. You can push the lanes really easily and then join the fight whenever.
Yep.
And if you die, it's really not that big of a deal.
All right, so if you're confused about what he just said, the point he's making is it's a global ability, okay? That was the point of the haunt. It has nothing else in
Thank
common
you,
with that
Synderen.
ability.
I really appreciate
It is
that.
global.
Cuckoo, he's going to skewer as a fish. Will be out as a result. S4 has the Burrow Strike to cancel the TP, and Hanskin and company should be able to clean up Bane pretty easily.
Yeah,
It actually reminds me,
of their mid
Synderen,
tower though.
the extension was updated today with a bunch of new features, one of which was the most, community out, well, what am I trying to say? The one that people wanted the most, which is the top bar has the skills videos as well.
Very
So
nice.
if you don't understand a word that we're trying to actually explain in terms of the abilities, you can look for yourself. Makes our job a lot easier. also takes
eventually
over our
in the
job to
future
some
we won't
degree.
need to say anything. It will just be, all of it will be in the tool.
That's right.
The tool will just start communicating as well.
I think we can
It will
get to that
cast
point.
for us.
Yeah, AI will take over one day. I think we agree on this. You could be the leader of that. S4 pushing out that bot lane. As you can see the steering chains here. I don't think that Alliance wants to push 2K net worth lead for T1 though. As looks like BKB just about to be finished on Carl.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the go time for each respective team? Because we have the Blink Dagger on S4. We don't have the Blink quite yet on Kuku. He went for the Helm, which we've been seeing a lot in this tournament.
Like you said, the dagger is coming out to Magnus.
Okay, it's on its way.
He
Great.
does have the dagger.
But what's the go time?
T1's timing is really, really strong right now, actually. They got Dagger, BKB, as well as the Deso on Wraith King, so there are a lot of potential plays opening up for them right now. I think looking for the bottom tier 1 tower and maybe even finding a fight would be great, and then you can think about Roshan, perhaps. Wraith King, pretty good hero at killing Rosh.
Yeah.
So, especially with this item build. Alliance, what do they have coming up? So Morph is going to get the Scotty.
Up, skewer back from Cuckoo.
Oh, he's dead.
Continue your thought, please.
Yep, so Scotty coming up on Morph. Ember is going Kaya Sanj with brown boots. Not sure how good that's going to be in this game for Limp, but obviously he is very far behind the Lina, so perhaps you just need to get a little bit creative with which direction you go in. And those are pretty much the big items. FNG only 300 away from a blink, as a matter of fact, so maybe he can get that too. As 5 Lion, that's not a bad timing.
No.
Around 18 minutes, pretty good.
It looks like T1 will finally get this tier 1 bot. And
Nico
Alliance,
baby.
LSA is going to connect. There's a Fiend's Grip from afar as well. Laguna Blade finishes off Nico baby. Hanskin trying to take out the tower, but it's very healthy.
For lack of a better word, that seemed a bit naive, almost. It's obvious from our perspective with the vision that we have, but you're pushing the top tier 1 tower with only Snapfire protecting you, not something like a Blink Sand King that can instantly interrupt spells like Grip there or counter the Lina. All right, let's just go Rosh.
Yep.
Your team fight is available, so.
And we're going to have a smoke from Alliance. We'll see if they find a kill here. Sleight of Fist is going to dodge some spells from Carl.
Oh my
23
God.
Savage jumps in, and it's going to be a very quick kill on the Hanskin. In the meantime, Epicenter goes off, but there's the RP to counter it. And T1 taking 3 kills for themselves and taking basically no damage in this engagement.
Yeah, 23 Savage almost one-shot a Snapfire with Medallion.
Double damage as well.
They even
nightmare. Let's get off the attribute shift, though. Wow. Yeah, double damage still there for 23 Savage. And into the Roach Pit they go. T1 starting to run away with that.
Yeah, this is starting to get really ugly. They're just flat out outclassing Alliance right now. These last 5 minutes have not been pretty. They kind of equalized the early game Alliance did after having a tough lane mid, but haven't really been able to find much momentum from Limp on the Ember Spirit. And the games we've seen Ember win in this tournament have largely been off, you know, you get out of lane, either you do very well or you at least stay afloat, and then the team sets up moves for you. Your hero is very high tempo and can do a lot, but it just hasn't really been the case for Alliance here. So you see this smoke and broken, rather. Boom! Not broke. Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
They even find Limp bottom here in the picture-in-picture bottom right. Not sure if our observer found Limp, but
his dead body somewhere.
We can pinpoint the position of the corpse.
I mean,
in
he's
that bottom
specifically having a pretty rough game. 8K net worth versus the 10.5 from Lina.
Hanskin. Good ward placement. He will get some info and actually survive this, perhaps. Going on quite the walk.
Yep, LSA, Carl. Trying to find some more. TPs from Alliance are coming in, but the double burrow strike S4. BKB popped by Carl, though, and FNG is just going to go down to the right clicks. Nico baby trying to find some sort of collateral kill here. Whitemon's just going to nightmare him, and 23 Savage in the vicinity. Completely surrounded as Nico baby. And 4 dead for Alliance, although technically Ember died quite a while before that. Hanskin, the last remaining member for now, attempting to TP. We'll be fine.
Administering their heroes, bringing them all around together, finding the team moves. And, I mean, it's easy to say what Alliance have to do. It's a lot harder to do it.
Yeah, as you can see, the win probability greatly in favor of T1 as expected after getting off to this really, really fast start.
Yep. Gabe Newell's favorite hero used to be Sand King, as we've talked about before.
That is true. That's
this
the 60%.
Is why he moved on from it, right?
Oh, okay. 23 Savage. Yep, easy kill for him again. All right, that is a big kill for Alliance onto Carl. That's exactly what they need here. Unfortunately for them, 23 Savage still applying pressure to the tier 2 mid.
Yeah, it's gone.
And it's just gonna go down. Aegis hasn't even been claimed yet. Oh wait, yeah, it has.
This item on Wraith King is so good, Brigand's Blade, the neutral, because your first hit does so much damage that you immediately get into the threshold where it starts mattering really quickly. Crazy good. Okay, trivia.
Huskar.
Trivia.
Huskar's the answer.
Trivia after this fight.
All right, we got. That's not much of a fight. FNG's dead. Nico Baby waveforming to safety. 23 Savage and company not going to pursue any further.
You sure about that?
Whitemon, okay, he gets a Fiend's Grip off. This will be another big kill for T1. Nope, Starbreaker not able to connect. He's going to be able to remnant it away for now. S4 taking so much damage will just be brought down to the right clicks alone. Whitemon finally dies. Such a pesky Bane Elemental. And Alliance getting some trades here.
Yeah, that's pretty good for Alliance given the circumstances. So you get a kill. Nico Baby gets 2, actually. He gets Cuckoo as well as Whitemon, so it's going to make some item progression here.
Yep.
Eyeing up a Linken's, this doesn't feel like a very strong build to me, just because, like, you're going to have these stats, but you don't have that massive combo play with, say, a Sand King when you go Ags, or some massive damage output from an E-Blade. So I'm just worried that the damage isn't going to be there when T1's heroes get a little bit bigger. That's going to be my main concern.
Is this one of those instances where when you're behind, you want to take more risks to try to get back into the game, and going Linken's just feels too safe almost?
It's the thing, you know, I love to say this, you're playing not to lose rather than playing to win. And playing not to lose in this day and age in Dota rarely works in my experience. If you're behind, you need to go for the, let's say you have 15% chance of winning with a play, right? If it's the best chance you have, you take it even though the odds are terrible. Because the alternative is even worse, which is you don't go for it and then you just lose by default. And that is something I think, you know, not that we're going to be talking a lot about public games or anything, but I think that's a mentality that people are not particularly good at adapting to in their public games, is that if you're far behind, hiding away is not a winning strategy, pretty much ever, unless the enemy team is going to throw in your base.
Which happens.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the level of play,
in
right?
pubs than in pro play, though, right? So
it depends on the level of play, of course, but yeah, sometimes you just got to take the risk even if the odds aren't good. Karl will be spotted up by S4. Well, who found who, actually?
Yeah, that's a good question. FNG jumps in. There comes a Solar Guardian, though, and just like that, T1 is here in numbers. FNG sacrificing himself to the gods here as S4 gets horn tossed and likely will be brought down next. So 2 quick kills for T1. And Alliance attempting to get out of dodge, but Hanskin gonna get spotted out. 23 Savage. Yeah, his arm length is apparently goes through Fog of War.
All right, here's my trivia. If you know this,
the longer they wait, the more the deficit becomes, it seems. And Limp will just be TPing out for now, but has a Remnant available to come back into the fight if he wants.
That is a tanky courier. 23 Savage will get his Elven Tunic.
Yeah, and completed
What is the passive of Elven Tunic called?
I don't look at...
It doesn't have one. It was a trick question.
Well, technically it does have
a passive. 3 passives, but no name.
No names. Yeah. All right, understood.
Dewarding here.
Oh my God! Holy jeez! Gaben Lord Almighty.
Literal one-shot.
FNG. That hurt me.
You know, you're used to expecting this out of a PA in this stage of the game, but Wraith King essentially right now, that is the Wraith King version of one dagger and I'm die.
Yeah, I don't know, just 29 minutes PA,
one shot.
I don't expect that still. Maybe 39.
With Mag on the team and Adesso? I don't know. I think I would kind of expect that.
Okay, well.
We have different levels of expectancy. I guess the PAs in your game don't have the same items at minute 29.
That's right, Cinder and S4 trying to mount some sort of a defense here, but this is with the Aegis online for Karl. Obviously, Wraith King doesn't need one. Although we do see them take it relatively often, but I like to see it on the Lina this game. Considerable amount of damage done to that tier 3 top, and T1 going to reset.
Karl hits really hard with this Empower. I think in a way it's still underappreciated when we commentate Empower. We are always focused on the melee heroes that get cleaves, that can farm ancients, etc. But having any hero that just attacks a lot inherently just gives Empower value, even if it's ranged, right? Lina has insane attack speed, so she's probably one of the best Empower heroes in the meta right now, actually better than some melee heroes. Oh my God!
Oh boy, the hack! Look at the damage. LSC's not going to hit though. Karl. One of the few mistakes from T1 this game. Pretty much a masterful performance thus far.
Well,
but they won't sweat it, I'm sure, as this lead is
the chat wheel game is on point. No mistake there. Playing the sad trombone is very appropriate there.
Yeah, we got the horn toss with the skewer into the RP. S4 is going to be the first to fall in all likelihood. Nico Baby staying alive at half. We'll get up to safety. So just one kill with that RP, but Carl Pasta BKB gets the LSA with a buyback onto S4 now. Starbreaker connects. Here comes a Solar Guardian as well. Nico Baby, very tanky right now with that Lincoln Sphere. Nice Burrow Strike epicenter combination from S4. Zephyr trying to get to safety with that hammer, but it's not going to happen. So it's a 1-for-1 with the buyback. Carl and company. Looks like they're going to lose the Dawnbreak at the very least. S4 continuing to be a pest here with these Burrow Strikes. Gets one kill. Looks like Wraith King is next. That's after the reincarnation, so T1 have to back off.
That's a very
Nice
good
defense
hold
from
from
Alliance.
Yeah, they only had to use a Sand King buyback and all of that. Arguably, maybe, you know, Carl getting a little bit overzealous trying to kill the Morph. As we've talked about, it's a tanky Morphling, and you don't necessarily have to kill Nico Baby in a position like that. You can safely, you know, go for other heroes that die a lot faster or try to push the tower, but got a little bit bloodthirst. You can get carried away in these positions, and again, this RP is good, but great counterplay from Hanskin to get that double Earth Spike. Lina didn't pre-BKB for this. And that will save Nico Baby getting him out. And this is where the overcommitment happens, right? So you go for this, go very, very deep. Solar Guardian, I believe, got interrupted here by another good 2-hero stun from FNG. And now you're just in a really compromised position. Limp also
not only
doing tons
is
of damage here.
Morphling tanky, but it's not really doing that much damage. It's not like he went the E-Blade build or anything like that, so you can just go for the other kills.
And now Nico has the item I like to see. He's got the Axe. So now he can turn into Sand King, and that's big. This gives them a double Burrow Strike combination play. You need to be careful. He's taking so much damage from Carl.
He is, but looks like he's fine for now. He's Limp creating a lot of space here, but the Laguna Blade, S4, a little bit too far this time.
Yeah, and he doesn't have buyback, and T1 obviously know this. They just bought back in the enemy base, so this does open up a potential push down mid
And
play
that
for them.
actually is pretty big because Morphling can't turn into Sand
Carl
King now.
found Limp with the Blink Stun.
The Centaur stop not going to be there in time. Limp. BKB attempting a TP, but the RP cancel. Down he goes. Does have buyback though.
ESJ.
Still a minute 20 left on the Aegis for T1. But best case scenario for Alliance, this is a 5 versus 4 once this buyback comes out. But like I said, Morphling can't turn into Sand King for another 40 seconds, so this Ag, like, Snapfire could be good later in the game. I don't even know. Do the talents even... Does that work through talents once you get the little shredder thing? As this Rax is going to be a complete freebie for T1.
So fast. Like, Lina is just an absolute artillery. That's not really the right word. Machine gun was what I was looking for. Going
A
straight in for the
Trebuchet,
net.
and your favorite. Carl, Laguna Blade, down goes Snapfire. They're trying to preserve the buyback. Nope, not anymore. That's 2 right off the bat here. And you can see S4 will be back in 10 seconds, but it's going to be 2 full sets of racks for T1.
Yeah, and they might back off here and wait for the next RP. You don't have to risk any push here in order to finish the game. If you wait 50 seconds, you might feel like it's pretty much in the bag. Gaben giving Alliance 1% here.
Okay.
Very gracious.
I mean, to be fair, S4 in that original high ground defense did a really
now
good
Gaben
job.
gives them 0. He's had enough.
Oh, boy.
You started talking about Sand King, and Gaben was like, I don't like this hero anymore, so there goes your last %. Thanks,
Very
Sunsman. You
sad.
ruin everything you touch, don't you?
That's true.
Yeah, okay.
Aegis is now
Kind of like
claimed.
Kyle with predictions.
Yeah, that's actually an uncanny skill that he has.
That's pretty impressive.
And T1 looking to finish this game, although no Aegis to work with now, and Alliance obviously know that, and this is going to be their best chance to win a fight. I look for Nico Baby to morph into S4 soon.
I bet Kyle, I challenge you, Kyle, to tweet right now, T1 has this in the bag.
Yeah.
Let's see how strong the curse is. If you do that and T1 end up losing, you will get a candy bar of your choice from me.
Of your choice? Wow. He might
There are
not
some
have
pretty
time to actually take out his
and
phone.
maybe quite exquisite and expensive candy bars out there if you know where to look. So that's a lot to gain here for Kyle, and no risk even.
That's true. Well, the risk is ruining his image of getting everything wrong.
That's true. That's actually pretty valuable to him, I think.
I think so too. I think he's really enjoying that.
Yep. Has to be fun.
T1 looks like they're ready to go and trying to finish this game. S4 wants to defend. We'll see how much they have in the tank here. T1 going to be happy with the tier 3. We'll back and reset.
Roche can respawn in 2 minutes. If you want to, you can wait for this.
I can't blame them. I mean, this is TI.
High stakes.
TI-10, lower bracket. Another shout out. You can actually check the bracket right now. That's a new addition to the extension. If you go to the standings, it shows the full bracket. Very nicely done.
Okay, Sunsfan, I have a trivia for you.
Oh boy.
What is the passive
Enough with these passives!
of Mindbreaker called? I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
You like very simple names.
Silence.
That's the first word. What is the second word?
Is it silent something?
Yes.
Silent strike.
Silence strike. Okay, you get your
Oh,
point. That's a really
All
good
right.
guess.
Thank you.
All right.
Beautiful.
Definitely didn't look over my shoulder there and
No,
cheated the test.
I would never do that.
No,
to
you actually
sir.
didn't, did you? I trust you.
Why would I?
You have so much to gain from this.
No, I'd like to look like an
Your
idiot,
image.
actually.
Oh, that's true. You and Kyle should start a team.
Maybe we should start a new podcast together. Might be an opening pretty soon. Is 31K network lead for T1. And definitely playing a little bit different. Playing Cuckoo.
Horn toss.
Yep, Horn toss is there, and S4 is dead.
That
60
wasn't
seconds
too
on the
bad.
deck.
That skewer range
No
time
buyback.
is so absurd. Like, you're expecting that skewer to stop any second now, and it just keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, this feels like, I mean, you talk about Elder Titan. I feel like Magnus feels like the hero of the tournament right now in a lot of ways.
Is doing very
Getting
well.
through a lot, as you see the overwhelming blade come in. We didn't even catch that on camera, but a lot of damage being done by T1. And it looks like the Fiend's grip is there as GG's will come out for game one. This was a shellacking, Cinderin. Yeah, T1 up 1-0.
As no need to sugarcoat it, really. That was just... Yeah, it was not even close.
Okay.
That was just not even close. T1 basically... T1 came out of a stronger landing stage. Alliance had a couple of good moves in the first 10 minutes, but after that it was just all T1 all the way to the bank. And they secure themselves game number one with a 39k gold lead here. Alliance, I think adjustments for game number two, you
I think that's just like Orchid in general. We see that on Spectre as well, where Spectres are not really building the Orchid unless you're like so farmed that you're going to get your next item at the same timing that you would without the Orchid because you're getting kills with it. So that's just kind of where Orchid falls as an item in Dota right now.
The biggest thing T1's missing right now is they need a hero that's going to go frontline and spot enemy squad. Slark can do that with Shadowblade or if he's just generally tanky and ready to go, but they don't really have a frontliner, and Ember Spirit's going to be perfect for that. Somebody that can jump in and set up fights and look for the Echo Slams after.
All right, well, I want to hear from you, Perch, then. What do you like about this T1 lineup?
I like that they can be very aggressive. They have tons of disables. If they do catch one of these heroes, they can probably kill them, but it's going to be really hard against Tide and Dusa because they have so much survivability as well as Kraken Shells. So there's good stuff about them. They got to split up Alliance and kill them one by one.
Jenkins, for Alliance?
I think that Alliance has good heroes for ganking. I think they have good heroes for the early game and the Void Spirit and their 4-man around the Dusa. And I also think that they can play the long fights. I know T1 has Slark, but I still think that the long fights eventually will favor Alliance once they get enough items on their Dusa.
Is there anything they should be worried about as Alliance? Some weaknesses of this draft?
Помогите, помогите, помогите.
Prepare for battle!
Thank you, Slacks. Recycling memes as always. That's your entire job description these days. Sunsfan here with Cinderin. T1 versus Alliance. Game 2 of this best of 3 in the lower bracket. How do you like these lineups this time around, Cinderman?
I think I like how Alliance this game have solved a bit more of the team fight problem they had in the last game. I think the way their lineup groups around Medusa can work really well. But that said, I also think T1 have some really great tools. To me, this T1 lineup feels like Assassination Squad, right? You've got Ember, Lion, as well as Slark, who can immediately take advantage of any fissure, any overgrowth that you find from the tree line, and just get in there. I think the biggest challenge for Alliance, honestly, in this game is to keep their supports alive. I don't think playing Crystal Maiden is particularly fun in a game like this.
You could have just stopped it.
and even Snapfire, who's a relatively tanky support and stands far back, you're just not safe against these heroes. And a little bit of a problem is the protection that you have against Ember and Slark is relatively limited, right? right? Like, what do you have? You have Ravage, Frostbite, and a Cookie, and a bit of a stretch you have Aether Remnant, but that one's going to be hard to land, and Slark can purge off all of this if he times it well. So I think Alliance, absolutely paramount this game. Get off to a good start in the lanes, and you need, honestly, just stellar positioning on supports in this game to not just end up feeding.
Right. I mean, last game T1 got off to a really good start and just I mean, that was basically the game. It felt like it just snowballed out of control of Alliance, and they weren't able to really do much from there on out. As top lane, we are seeing some action. Zephyr playing the Treant Protector, which we'll talk about in just a moment here. Actually, we can do it now, Synderen. Your thoughts on this pick, since a lot of other teams don't pick Treant at all.
Yeah.
But T1, one of the few exceptions.
I had this theory, actually, that so in the group stage, we had a couple of games with Quincy Crew. I think that was in day one, where they picked Treant in 2 games in a row, and it just didn't really work for them. And I had this theory, okay, maybe they've been scrimming against T1 and been rolled. Because like, almost no other team, like you said, plays it. Oh, Zephyr is in trouble. He will be fine, though. No, almost no other team plays it, and it's been respect banned against T1 by basically every team. PSG even yesterday showing respect to Zephyr's Treant. So we'll see what it's all about here. I honestly like that Alliance let it through to change things up in this game, because obviously the last game just wasn't working out. Yeah. So they're choosing to give something else over and see what they can do about it. Unfortunately, to me, this is a really good Treant Protector lane. So I don't think they address the hero very well in the laning stage, and that's a really big part of what T1 use it for, is this hyper-aggressive play coming out from Zephyr.
Yeah, and Zephyr, of course, I mean, Tree as a hero, highest base damage in the entire game, so the level 1 potential in terms of just trading right clicks is better than anybody in the entire game. As you can see, Carl playing the Ember Spirit this time around versus Limp's Void Spirit, so the Spirit Brothers at it again. Looks relatively even right now. I mean, who would you favor just hero-to-hero matchup between these two?
In the mid lane?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much a wash. Honestly, this lane very often ends with a draw. Comes down to who gets the first gank, or like sometimes I think the player who's most likely to find a kill, or the hero rather, that's most likely to find a kill in this lane is probably the Ember. But either way, it generally comes off the back of overconfidence, overstepping to get CS. You're going to see them play completely neck and neck here, right? They're getting the exact same CS, the exact same items. Literally identical inventories, just with different item orientation. Same number of bottle charges. Oh, Carl used his Tango.
Oh boy.
Look, you got to follow suit. Doesn't matter your full health. Do it for the fans.
Yeah, do it for the fans.
And he's going to have to use it now.
Cookie's going to connect onto Whitemon in the bot lane. Looks like he'll be safe. Using an Earth Spike to just try to trade a little bit of damage going their way. I mean, this is the lane we haven't talked about yet, but 23 Savage playing the Slark against a Tidehunter, which historically is pretty good for Slark in terms of the mid to late game once you get past the laning stage. Because you have just this fat tanky hero that you can just get stacks off of. It's Cuckoo. Now it looks like FNG is going to take a tumble here. So first blood goes the way of T1 with the Enchant Totem. And actually the thing I had to hold that thought. Double Impale coming out from Whitemon again. S4 gets hexed, and there's the pounce. It does connect. Popping the wand, keeping alive a little bit longer, but 23 Savage. Well, actually, it wasn't him. Whitemon somehow stole the kill from his position 1
I don't like that narrative, Shannon. It's not a steal.
He stole it.
It's not a steal when the support gets a kill. It's good. He did a good.
If you were a position 1 player, you would agree with me.
I am very much not a position 1 player.
I know.
And I'm all about the team.
Yeah.
Getting a good game for your support. He's going to pay it back to you later.
Yeah, we'll see.
He will do something with that gold that's going to make you really happy. Don't you worry.
Zephyr in the trees right now has his Nature's Grasp ready to go. Has 2 levels of Leech Seeds, so can do even better trading. Able to potentially find a kill there. FNG, obviously one of the slowest heroes in the game, is Nico Baby. Not a whole lot of mana to speak of. A nice fissure. Nico Baby forced to go up top. Enchant Totem is there, but don't think they'll get the kill, but he's going to take heavy, heavy damage as a result of this. In fact, Zephyr might be the one in trouble.
Okay.
They're just going to turn it around. So Alliance getting their first kill of the game.
That looked good for T1 because the Fissure and Nature's Grasp were lined up so nicely, and there was no path for Nico Baby to take. It's just tanky enough, and obviously a little bit clunky with these 2 melee heroes walking in together, end up blocking each other, can't really connect onto Nico Baby, and obviously the Crystal Maiden as well, doing a lot of work. Now FNG, however, is out of mana, and he does not have the aura yet, so he's going to send out 2 mangoes as well as a Sage's Mask. So for a little bit of time, he will have some downtime here, but Doesn't really matter. Cuckoo's just free farming closest tower anyway, and I don't think FNG could have done that much about it. So.
Yeah, you can see in terms of CS, Carl just slightly ahead of Limp right now as he's going to get the sleight of fist. Here comes Zephyr from the side. Gets off the Nature's Grasp, going to slow a bit with that leech seed as well. Limp in quite a bit of trouble. Pops a Fairy Fire. TP support coming.
He's dead.
Zephyr. Yeah, the last sleight of fist, and now FNG might be in some trouble.
He's dead.
Double Remnant. Zephyr will be able to get up a couple right clicks along with the leech seed again coming online. So double kill for Carl to start this game. T1 doing very well. I was gonna, man, it's a good thing I didn't say because that would be a caster's curse, but for the mid lane, Limp definitely off to a better start until that point.
Yeah. And now Carl is going to pull significantly ahead. He's level 6.5 against Limp's 5.75. I think Carl's net worth has to be up by a few hundred, 800 or 700, pardon me.
Yeah, Limp trying to get some retribution here onto Carl.
Oh, he does
able to get the
DD.
stun. Yeah, Carl needs to back up despite Whitemon being here. Well, never mind, Zephyr's on the high ground as well. It's a 3v1.
Oh, if Limp dies here,
chased.
this
He
is
gets
so...
hexed as well. T1 looking for another kill on the mid laner for Alliance.
Okay.
Oh, he gets off. Oh, he's going to mitigate a little bit of damage there. Turning it around.
Okay.
He gets 2 kills before dying. At least get something out of it this time, Cinderman.
Talk about value Resonant Pulse. They thought they had the kill. You saw Carl already backing off. He was like, all right, Trey on the line, you just hit him once each, he's gonna die. He gets that damage block through that 2-hero Resonant Pulse connection, and then he gets level 6 from the first kill, so he can jump on the second kill as well. So a nice heads-up play there from Limp to get something out of that. Because that looked like he was just completely doing bottom lane.
Absolutely.
23 Savage and Whitemon connecting on S4.
He's playing on the edge here. S4.
He
Get a lot of stacks for 23 Savage now. Whitemon with Zephyr's company should be able to take S4 out. Gets off the gush, but won't be enough to find his way to get the kill on 23 Savage. Halfway to level 6, and once he gets to that point, it's going to be extremely hard to kill this Slark.
You know, dying as an offlaner with a creep wave like that, you're just so sad. Like 23 Savage just denied 4 creeps. He denied a full wave immediately after killing the Tide, and now he's just going to stabilize down here, find his level 6 very soon. It looks like Alliance will try to gank him before then, but keep in mind Slark has night vision, so your angles are a little bit more limited here. And 23 Savage even has a read that something could be coming his way, playing very cautiously. Might even take level 6 just from range without going for the CS. Oh, never mind. Will be bullied away by S4 though.
Yeah, still level 5 on the Tidehunter. And as we talked about 23 Savage, this wave should give him level 6. He's given solo XP. There we go. So has his Shadow Dance to work with. Talk to me about... I mean, this looks like a really good Slark game, like theoretically, against Medusa, against Tide.
I think so too.
Anything else to say?
Like the panel said, honestly a little bit surprising maybe that Alliance let it through. You pick the Tide first phase.
Yeah.
Most teams go into bans here and ban the Slark. And then, okay, if you want to let that through, that's fine. But you also picked a carry that Slark loves facing, so you made this game even more enjoyable. And it's always important. Okay, hang on, Hanskin.
Yeah. Whitemon's going to be there. He's able to clean him up pretty easily. A little bit late to the party is Limp. He gets a haster at the very least.
It's always important when you look at the draft and you look at how the lineups turn out and you're like, man, this hero's counterpicked by 3 picks that wasn't good. You always need to remember what the draft order is, right? Like you're always giving away information based on pick order. So a lot of the times, even at the absolute highest level with the best drafters in the world, there's going to be heroes that are just hard countered in the game because they get shown early. And obviously that's why a lot of the time you show your support as one of your first 2, sometimes even both supports, so that the cores can have better conditions. But yeah, in this game you did first phase your offlaner, and then I feel like not fully protect him here on S4. So that could end up costing Alliance dearly. He will find his level 6 minute 9, which is not all that great. Cuckoo level almost 8 on the Shaker for comparison. This is while I believe both position 4s on the the respective 4s have the same experience as well. So it's just raw offlaner difference. It's not like one of the 4s just took a lot more experience in the lane. Almost at stole. Bad influence from you there. It's not stealing. It's cooperative gameplay.
Okay,
we don't need to. We don't need to spread this agenda of playing cores against the supports even more than they already are in public games.
I mean,
okay?
to be fair, it's gotten a lot better over the course of the last few years because everybody's getting farmed now.
Limp.
Yep, we have the Hex to start things out from Whitemon. This might be another death, but Cookie keeps him alive a little bit longer, but not long enough. FNG not able to save his mid laner. Limp now with his 3rd death of the game. And like I said, in terms of the 1v1, he was doing great, but since these ganks have been coming, just feels like non-stop from T1. He's just been dying left and right.
In a few minutes, T1 is going to be running at you and pressuring you, and you're not going to get that area for free. So
T1 getting credit for another kill. I mean, speaking of Ancients, there is a stack for Medusa to eventually take, but you can see that there's a somewhat aggressive ward also placed in that area for T1. So when that is being taken, they'll probably try to contest. 23 Savage. Trying to get some trade-offs here.
Might dive here. This is dangerous, though. Yeah, he's going to think twice
especially
about
with
it.
23 Savage having his ult, so a lot of passive regen now. Carl gets off the steering chains. S4 is going to apply the Ravage. Will save his life. Negatory. Sleight of Fish finishes him off, but Liquid Company might be able to get some beautiful trades here. Carl does one more Sleight of Fish, but dies shortly after. In the meantime, 23 Savage destroys Crystal Maiden despite getting that freezing field out for about a half a second. Hanskin looks to be next on the menu, but he doesn't get Cookie off in time. 23 Savage, okay. We have the Mortimer's Kisses from afar, but they're going to go for the lip kill. They'll get it successfully. It'll cost him his life. But he does get the stack at the very least of Essence Shift. Nico Baby all alone in the mid lane, so this is exactly what Alliance needs.
Pretty good for Alliance overall here. It might have looked like a bad Ravage, but ultimately they do get pretty much value out of it, finding those 2 kills and almost a mid-tier 1 tower.
From the
Crystal
lane.
Nova saves him. Very good.
Takes him out from the lane. Technically correct is always correct. Alliance looking to go on 23 Savage, who's very low on mana right now, but looks like
here comes T1. Dagger on Shaker. They want to jump limp.
Oh, Pounce not able to connect for 23 Savage. Cuckoo, like you said, Blink Dagger's there. It gets the Enchant Totem off. And Limp Astral steps to safety. Does that have any more stacks, though? There's 6 seconds before it comes off cooldown. Mortimer Kisses from afar.
Very good.
Actually, onto 30 here. T1 taking so much damage, but the Echo Slam is expanded to at least get 23 Savage. It's going to be a trade for 3, though. Triple kill for Hanskin with a god tier Mortimer's Kisses.
Oh my god, can you imagine damage breakdown on that one? 3k damage.
Not bad.
We're 14 minutes in. That is some sick value out of the Kisses there. And yeah, T1, they were really looking for that Void Spirit kill, but unfortunately, Lion could not fully connect. I think maybe if Cuckoo Echo Slam's there, that could have bridged the gap, but understandably doesn't want to use it, and just really heads up play there from Hanskin to find that angle and get a big old off.
Yeah. Why is it called Mortimer's Kisses anyway?
Why not?
It should be like Mortimer's Belches or something, you know? Like he's not... I don't see the connection.
I know you really want to make belches happen in this game, but there's only one hero that has those, and that's Pudge, and that's probably going to stay that way.
It's too bad. Very. This is one of the best Mortimer's Kisses we've seen this tournament for sure. Getting really big value out of that. Zephyr, Cookie connects on top of him. He's going to be taken out very quickly. It's the overgrowth off. They got a little bit too confident. Finally gets taken out though, but the TPs are here from T1 trying to turn this around. Limp takes a tumble. 3 dead so quickly in favor of T1. Hanskin will get hexed as well.
Limp didn't finish the kill. He had the...
I mean, would that have made a difference, you think?
He thought the Treant was dying, so he used Dissimulate, right? And he jumped away.
Yeah, he thought he had it for sure.
Yeah, what ends up happening is that instead of killing Treant, he gets a 2-man ulti off.
Yeah.
Because your natural buildup will favor split shot for the farming, and you don't get like something like first item Daedalus or whatever, right? Like, not that any carry does that, but you get the idea. It takes time. You need 3 or 4 items before you truly start just standing your ground against Slark. So with that BKB, he can feel very, very safe. Oh, he's actually maybe getting eyes on Nico Baby here with that night vision. He sees him.
Yeah, but
it's going to leech a bit of the experience.
Ancients are taken out for Nico Baby, so at least that is not contested.
He's going to wrap around. He will see Hanskin here. He saw the Solar Crest being used, and that means Hanskin has no defensive capability from that.
That's
no
the
plus
diffuse way.
armor.
Will just Cookie himself to the high ground, though. And we see the Stone Gaze going up, but a nice fissure blocking him up. Cuckoo, in the meantime, looks like that's going to be the sacrifice. Fissures and dies. So not the setup that T1 was looking for. A good defense from Alliance.
As I've talked about in a previous cast, I always wonder, it gives an insight into what players are thinking when they ping heroes like this. He just pinged Snapfire Medusa.
Looks like Zephyr gets off the overgrowth, but 100 seconds of none of that for him. Okay, I was gonna say, I don't want to jinx it anymore, so I'm very hesitant now. That took quite a while, which maybe not so good a sign for Alliance, but they're not too far behind right now, so definitely can find an avenue back in the driver's seat for this game.
Yeah, this bottom tower is definitely gone. Nico Baby's going to take that, working on his Scotty. He went for SNY.
Pretty good move if you ask me.
Opting not to go Manta against Treant, which I think a lot of Medusas would. Overgrowth is very annoying to deal with for carries in general. Sometimes in the past we've even seen carries go Manta BKB first too, just to deal with Treant on a hero like, for example, Troll Warlord, who's totally dependent on being able to attack in his ult. But
Overgrowth, Searing Chains, there's a couple things to take off here.
I feel like Manta would have a lot of value here, but Nico, maybe he feels like there's too much, so he'd rather have the status resistance, so at least he gets rid of them faster than having that one quick removal. I could see the logic in that as well. You're playing against Shaker and Lion, that's just too much, probably. So I kind of like this way of approaching it instead of Manta.
I like how we just went through a little mind experiment where you've convinced yourself after talking. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's
very open mind. You're able to convince yourself of something else if you want. Oh, looks like Crystal Maiden is done. FNG trying to get the D ward.
That is how all machine learning works, by the way. I train against myself and come to a conclusion.
Yeah,
so
that is quite that's shockingly accurate and disturbingly accurate, in fact. Nico Baby, like you said, working on the Scotty now. As Alliance trying to stave off elimination here in game number 2 of this best of 3. S4 trying to TP out, but the pounce will cancel. Whitemon in Infinity as well.
S4 trying to run. S4 trying to move.
He's not going to move.
S4 trying to cast a spell.
Thank you for the commentary, Synderen, as always.
S4 trying to respawn.
I would love for you to cast a team fight. Just
Synderen trying to
robot
cast.
voice, robot cast. Sounds good to me. 23 Savage now. Still a ways away from the BKB.
FNG.
Yep, that's another death for him. 23 Savage now with 9 permanent stacks of Essence Shift. Gonna harass Nico Baby a bit.
Free stacks.
Yeah, and of course you can see the power of Slark against the Medusa just drains the mana so much faster, especially with the Diffusal Blade on top of that.
We did say it was going to be a hard maiden game, man. FNG is just, I don't know, I'm not in the booth. I would imagine he's not particularly having fun.
Cuckoo has his Ags on the way, so we'll be able to use a Chant Totem to initiate along with the Blink. Yeah, position 3 Earthshaker always feels pretty good because it can get these items really fast compared to what we're used to. Oh, they're going to see a big collision here. Yeah, that's true. Fake Grenade on Earthshaker, pretty disgusting. S4 trying to tank things up as the initiation comes. Carl, let's see the BKB picked up, or popped by 23 Savage, going to town on S4 in the meantime. You can see Ember Spirit creating so much space on the back line. Nico Baby forced his ult out. Now Hanskin not quite going to die here. It's nice taunt onto Carl, but there's the double kill with the Sleight of Fist. He's taking a lot of damage, though. Can he get out in time? It's 23 Savage just focusing on Nico Baby. There's the Overgrowth to keep them in place. There's so many stacks now, but finally the Ravage comes out onto S4, but it's not going to matter, Synderen. This is going to be a full team wipe for T1, and they barely took any damage.
It's such a godly fight from Carl. He just does everything right. You see, the fight breaks out. They see the tide, and he gets a little bit of vision on the backline supports. He literally zoned 2 heroes on his own, killed them both, and then lived after. Like, you can't ask for more out of an Ember Spirit in a game like this. I'm not going to say he single-handedly won the fight, but he definitely spearheaded it. So you're going to see the replay here. S4 goes out and breaks the smoke. Halberd at least has some sort of defensive tool against that Slark, but the problem is you can outlast, but can you even kill? That doesn't make sense. Outlast was the wrong word. Okay, Nico Baby.
Nico Baby. He gets off his ult. They're just going to try to withstand it. FNG and company have come to help out as well. Sleight of Fist doing so much damage. FNG again dead. No big surprise. There's the Searing Chains now. Nico Baby trying to stay alive, but it looks like the right clicks will come through. 23 Savage getting that one with the BKB activated, and they're not done yet. Looks like Hansking is next on the list as S4 and Alliance are starting to crumble here, Synderen. T1 looking primed to take this series 2-0. They lose 1. It's only Cuckoo.
6 for 1.
6 for 1. That is true. Dieback on FNG. And into the Roche Pit, T1 goes. We see a replay here. The initiation on to Nico. I mean, the fact that you have here again, we talked about this before, but Slark against Medusa just feels incredible.
Yeah.
Like, is there a better a carry versus carry matchup against Medusa?
I think
it's up there.
I think Slark has to be one of the best. I think Ursa deserves an honorable mention just because of how much mana burn he can get out so fast with overpower, but yeah, it's definitely up there. And like you said, Slark being one of the best.
Yeah, you need
they're just
Ravage.
gonna, you can't chain stun long enough, and S4 doesn't have dagger.
The thing that they're missing, I mean, again, this is hindsight, but burst damage against Slark would be very nice in this scenario.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Jump in from Carl. Looks like FNG is just going to die. Nope, actually lives with barely any HP, and then finally gets taken out first as Carl will go back to safety. 23 Savage on the back line now. Try to target Limp. You see the Fissure come out as well. BKB dodging the Ravage as a result. Limp is going to stay alive though. Mortimer kisses from afar. Kuku taking the brunt of the damage here. Looks like he's going to drop the first to fall for T1, but 23 Savage looks perfectly healthy for now. Pops his ult.
He still has
Gets one kill. Nico Baby very low on mana, which means he is very susceptible to die here. Cinder and 23 Savage resetting, going back in, buyback. You see the mana drain coming from Whitemon as well. Nico Baby pops the wand, but to little avail. Zephyr does get off his ult, but the finger of death taking Nico Baby out in spades. No buyback for him to see a nice freezing kill come out, but it's going to result in the kill of Carl. In the meantime, beautiful tail at the 2. S4 on the run. Trying to get back into this base is 23 Savage, not scared of anything because that Aegis is still intact.
That was maybe a little bit too cute there from Savage, but he's obviously able to reset out of here. Guess how long would he have had on that Aegis? That was still a good 2 minutes left on that. It was maybe a little bit unnecessary, but
2 for 2 with the. I mean, that was a pretty long fight, and only 2 died for Alliance. So you got to be happy with that. Although Nico Baby is the one that has to survive in these fights.
Yeah. If they could have got away with that, losing any other hero than Nico, and he gets 1 or 2 kills, is probably a net win. But like this, it kind of turns into a draw. You got to keep in mind, Slark is getting a lot of those stacks now. 16 permanent agility on Savage. Surely you've got to pay good amounts of gold for this.
Structures are fortified.
Yep, that's just another, like, add that to the pile of benefits that this hero has that we talked about, right?
Yeah, but there are a lot of Slark games that are not good, right? Yeah. Like, it does take a certain lineup for it to really shine.
Oh,
unlike some other carries.
He knows they don't see him. Shadow Dance is active.
Yeah. Has his shard, by the way, so has the Depth Shroud to be able to use on teammates or himself. Yeah. Basically like a free ult. S4 up. He's going to get pounced on. I think 23 Savage is trying to get away. And he will be successful at that either way.
They're just going to full reset. They don't have Carl. So we'll wait up. Carl's going to go top, start pushing that out. Obviously with that Ags can connect pretty quickly. Going to clean up that wave very fast with double Remnant.
Yeah, working on the refresher. Already has the Ags in his inventory. So we'll be zipping all over the place. The win probability has actually changed slightly in Alliance's favor in the last couple minutes.
1% down.
Yep.
All right, just another 50 good team fights, and then we're there.
Oh, I mean, they do have good team fight, to be fair, but the problem is really Ember Spirit on the backline just killing supports.
I'm kidding, this is definitely doable, and what it's going to come down to is ideally that T1 go on Nico Baby, and you get to play your other heroes effectively, right? One of the big differences in that fight, like you pointed out, was that there was actually a decent freezing field for once, and it makes a huge difference. That's what ended up killing Carl. He wasn't expecting that burst of damage coming in from the tree line, so if you do set it up here for Alliance, it could work. Okay, instantly breaking the smoke.
Yeah, Shadow Blading up. We got the Ensnare coming out as well. BKB, there's the Echo Flame onto 2. Limp already dead in this engagement. 2 dead for Alliance to start this fight out. Nico Baby getting mana drain for a little bit of time here. It's 23 Savage. Now just focusing on Nico Baby along with Kuku, getting the stuns out. See how the Sinister this works from this time. But the mana drain from that Diffusal and the Essential stacks are just getting out of control for T1. They only lose their support Lion and get 4 kills as the trade. And T1 looking to go high ground. There is a buyback on Nico Baby, but will it matter? As the building damage is now coming through.
At the very least, that Glyph kills off the siege creep, but this Slark with current 18 permanent agility and 68 stolen.
Pretty good.
Very fast.
See the halberd being used, but this will be a full set of mid-racks in all likelihood for T1. S4 going to give some free stacks to 23 Savage. And T1 going to bide their time here, Cinderin. Like I said, these matches are just so important. You cannot give up leads like this. So FNG trying to get some map control back, but it feels like he's just died every time he's attempting this. Yeah. Poor lad.
And they know the ward is there because of Shadow Dance. So get rid of that immediately. Nico Baby is exposed here. Alliance are trying to bait him. They really want this fight where they go on Nico. They feel like it's their only chance, and I agree with this 100%.
Smoke up as well.
And they are
Already gets popped. Backline again. Ravage comes out from S4. 23 Savage does take considerable damage, but again, FNG dies at the beginning of the fight. Carl, look at how much space he's creating. Just absolutely decimates Hanskin with just his remnants. Whitemon jumps in with the finger of death. 3 dead for Alliance, and they are likely out of TI-10 after this fight. Medusa takes a tumble. Triple kill for Carl. And S4 finally goes down. He's the only remaining member for Alliance with buyback. They call GG, and T1 moves on. Synderen, Alliance out.
Yeah, there's just no doubt about it after watching these 2 games. T1 just clearly the better team at this event. Alliance got completely rolled both games. There were some glimmers of hope. Again, similarly to game number 1, there's like that one fight around the 10-minute mark. This game, it's the Snapfire triple kill bottom.